following is a presentation of the Retro Network.
Hello and welcome back everyone to the Retro Resurgence podcast. You are listening to episode 30 of the show, and we are happy that you have found your way back to us once again to take another trip down that winding road of nostalgic memories and retro fun. As always, I am one half of the team here at the Retro Resurgence, Ken, and on the other end, as always, my co-host, my podcast partner, Chad. How you doing tonight?
Doing well, Ken. Can't wait to get on the horn with you tonight to record yet another nostalgic, fun episode that we have planned. So I'm looking forward to it. How you been?
Yeah, pretty good. We had kind of an extended vacation here. We're back on the mics tonight recording. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was very good. It was a well-needed and much-needed break from the monotony of life when it comes mainly to work. I was able to take off the whole week. Me, my wife, my daughter, and my in-laws. We do this tradition every few years where we get a cabin in the western North Carolina area. You know, the city usually varies from different years, but nowadays, man, when it comes to vacations, I like to, especially Thanksgiving, I'm more of the guy that would like to just stay at the cabin, watch football, eat good food, and just kind of chill out. You know, some people in our crew like to go downtown and shop and walk around, and man, the older I get, the more I'm just like, I feel like the old dads of the TV shows where, you know, dad just looking forward to sitting on the couch and kicking back, having a beer, and just doing nothing.
Right, yeah, me too, man. I was also off the whole week of Thanksgiving, and yeah, it was nice to just sit back and relax. Saw a movie over that weekend, the new Predator movie that came out. It was pretty good. I saw that with my 15-year-old. Yeah, man, it was nice. It's just to kind of decompress from work and have the week off and getting ready for the busy season now at work. You know, we're into that package mail season where we're getting buried almost every day. And yeah, so it was good to have off.
Yeah. And of course with you, unfortunately the busy season comes with a bunch of snow up there in your region, isn't it?
Yeah, man, we had about a foot of snow this past Saturday into Sunday morning, and we had to dig out from that. And now today we're kind of in a little bit of a deep freeze. Right now it's 11 degrees, feels like -6. So that's why you see me. I got my blanket on down here. So
yeah, man. Totally different world, man, where we got snow earlier this year for like the first time in probably 7 or 8 years. And of course down here, everybody welcomes snow for a day or two, and then we're ready to get back to normal. But
yeah,
you guys, man, y'all deal with it almost every year.
Actually, this is kind of, for us up here, this is kind of early for that big of a snowfall and to be this cold already. So I'm hoping that's not a sign of things to come. Maybe we'll get it out of the way early and it'll even out.
Yeah, I know in the lounge you said you were tired of winter, but yet winter isn't officially even here.
Right, man. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it'll be just get it over with early and you'll have a mild winter, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
But yeah, man, we our normal podcasting schedule, it was actually going to work out to where we were going to record the day before Thanksgiving. So when we saw that on the calendar, both Ken and I were like, yeah, let's take an extra week off. So
yeah, we deserve it.
Yeah, man, we've been grinding hard this year.
Yeah.
But, Yeah, so if you haven't heard from us, no fear, we are back, and we should be back to our usual schedule. We're coming up on, of course, the holidays and Christmas, and it's another opportunity for us to take a few extra weeks off, maybe spend time with our families, and just kind of
Yeah,
chill and recharge our batteries because both Ken and I have a lot of great ideas planned for the new year. I know, Ken, we were just talking off air. You were adding some more cool and fun ideas to our topic tank. So,
yeah.
listeners, we promise more things, good things to come in the new year.
That's right. Yeah, we got more things coming. We've already got most of the year planned out for next year as far as our topics go, and we keep adding and adding. So we're not going to run out of any ideas for quite a while. And yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yep. So, Ken, the last time we were on together, we were with our bud Gary from the Retro Network.
Yeah.
We have any feedback from that episode?
Yeah. Episode 29, of course, was our part one of our Weird Al bracket madness of his parody song. So we did 16 songs for our first bracket, and we have some feedback here. Our loyal listener, Space, he says, since I'm an 80s kid, I would have to give the number one spot to Fat and the number two song to Eat It. We spent lots of hours cranking up those songs on the boombox in the storage shed that we called our fort as kids. Great stuff, guys. Yeah, so definitely Eat It, of course, won our first bracket. And yeah, he mentions Fat, and that will be in one of our other brackets for sure. So look forward for that to be coming.
That song Fat will be tough to beat.
Yeah,
And whoever has to match up against that song, that'll be a tough one.
right. And then we have our friend from the Retro Network here, Kevin Hellions. He goes by Hellions Team on Instagram. And he says, I discovered some new to me songs thanks to the bracket. So, yeah, like I was telling you, I'm a pretty big Weird Al fan. But as I was going through some of the songs that we picked, there were some on there that I hadn't even heard. And it was kind of cool to listen to those songs.
Yeah, especially that one that was kind of a parody, the Taylor Swift song.
Yeah, TMZ.
Yeah, that one, I'm sure Kevin might be referring to that one. But when you got 64 songs to fill the bracket out, you're gonna have songs that are probably new to a lot of us. So that's
Right.
that's the great thing about this tournament, man. It's gonna, even though some of these probably won't win, at least you get to hear them and just kind of
Right.
discover what they are. And Weird Al's been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny when we dropped this episode. It wasn't long before or after that he announced he's going on a tour next year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's going on a tour next year, the 2026, and come to find out that his final show of the tour next year will be in my home state, and it will be in Milwaukee at the Fiserv Forum. So I don't know, man. It'd be fun to go. I've never seen him in concert, but I don't know how the ticket prices are. They're probably up there, so who knows if I'll be able to make it.
Yeah, we're still holding out hope that one of these posts that we tag Weird Al in, he could give us a shout out. Maybe he'll
Yeah.
invite you backstage, Ken, on the last
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, he actually, I think, is also coming to, we both, Gary and you and I talked, he's coming to each of our cities, but,
Yeah.
who knows what the ticket prices will be. But yeah, that's, for somebody as legendary as him, man, you might want to check out this tour because you never know how much longer he'll be doing this kind of stuff,
Right. And then we got one more piece of feedback from the Weird Al episode from Serpy Matt. He says, fun listen. I get where you guys were coming from with Amish Paradise only being there because of Eat It, but I still would have given it to Amish Paradise. Not only was it huge at the time, hearing Coolio come around to accepting it just elevates it for me. Now I have hopes for one other song to dethrone Eat It. We'll see how it does. So yeah, you had picked Amish Paradise over Eat It, but me and Gary both went with Eat It. So I had a coworker come up to me after the episode dropped, and he was disappointed that Amish Paradise didn't win the bracket as well. So Yeah, two great songs, but yeah, we had Eat It go on as the winner.
Yeah, you know, who knows if Amish Paradise would have been in another bracket, perhaps it could have overcome. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's the fun part of the brackets, man. You know, it's all about those matchups. But you know, you can't deny Eat It is legendary and kind of really kick-started that whole Weird Al parody thing. You know.
yeah. Yeah, like we said, either one probably could have won. Like you said, if Amish Paradise would have been maybe in another bracket, maybe that would have taken it. But hey, it landed how it landed. But yeah, Amish Paradise is a great song.
Yeah, and the good news, folks, is that you're going to look forward to at least 3 more episodes to fill out the remaining brackets. We hope to have Gary on each of those to help us determine those winners. So
Yeah,
look forward to big Weird Al plans for us and the Retro Resurgence here in 2026.
yep, for sure.
All right, Ken. Well, how about we get to some recurrent events?
Yeah, we are kind of going to switch up our format a little here. Instead of our Nostalgia Oasis news, it was kind of my idea, and I checked with you, and then we also checked with our head honcho over there at the Retro Network. And we're going to bring back a segment that, if you listeners are regular listeners, that the other co-founder of the Retro Network, Jason Gross, we've talked about him many times here. He had a segment that he liked to do on his Rediscover the 80s podcast, and then he did bring it over to the Retro Network podcast called Recurrent Events, which he talked about news that was coming out, as of the present day, but still had a retro theme to it. And I was thinking about it a lot. And Chad, like I said, I asked you about it, and then we asked Mickey. And so we're going to bring that segment to our show here as kind of a memoriam to Jason, and to keep that segment that he started, keep that going. And so that's what we're going to do in place of our Nostalgia Oasis news. We're going to bring back the recurrent events.
Yeah, Ken, when you threw this out there, at first I was a little hesitant on, making any more changes. You know, we've already played with the format several times, but the more I thought about it, I said, man, this is an awesome, subtle way to get the recurrent events out there back in the forefront, we hope. And it gives sort of a nod and an ode to Jason on his idea and what he started. And with Mickey's blessing, of course, he said, take it, guys, and run with it. So, yeah, recurrent events is what we're going to hope to feature on each and every episode. And, we'll start here with the first edition of the Retro Resurgence Recurrent Events segment.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to start that and keep it going. So what do you say we get into it?
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, Ken. So why don't you kick us off with our first recurrent event story that's going on there out in the world of pop culture. What you got for us?
All right. So, as well, I know, being a big Transformers fan, as some other people might know, next year, August, will be the 40th anniversary of the animated cartoon movie Transformers, the movie. So as we know, the soundtrack for that movie was just a really great soundtrack. It was as 80s as 80s could get, and to have it in a Transformers cartoon movie was just even better. So two of the musical artists that had a couple tracks on that soundtrack, Stan Bush and Vince DiCola, will be performing in March of next year, 2026, for Transformers Con 2026 in Los Angeles. And they will be performing music at the famous Whiskey A Go Go in West Hollywood, California. So Stan Bush, an 80s rock star, and Vince DiCola, a musical composer, will be performing at the Whiskey A Go Go. And they both had a few tracks on the Transformers the movie soundtrack. So Stan Bush recorded 2 songs for that soundtrack, and these songs are called The Touch, and then he also performed another song called Dare. If you haven't heard those songs, I recommend go listening to that whole soundtrack. And then Vince DiCola had a couple musical instrumentals on that soundtrack, and they were The Death of Optimus Prime, which, man, every time I hear that musical, that instrumental, man, that makes me get goosebumps and makes me think back to the movie. And then he also had an instrumental called Escape as well. And then he also had another track called the Autobot Decepticon Battle. And then in 2007, they re-released the soundtrack, and he had a couple bonus tracks on there. One was called the Unicron Medley, Moonbase 2, and Megatron Must Be Stopped, parts 1 and 2. So, yeah, they're both going to be performing together at the Whiskey A Go-Go. And I also think Vince DiCola also had a lot of musical instrumentals on the Rocky IV soundtrack as well, which are some pretty good musicals. I keep calling them musicals, some instrumentals. And yeah, so go listen to the Rocky IV soundtrack and then go listen to the Transformers, the movie soundtrack. And they'll be performing in Los Angeles next March for Transformer Con.
Yeah, it's going down Saturday, March 14th, 2026 at the world famous Whiskey A Go-Go.
Yep.
And looks like tickets are available to be purchased starting at $33. So, you know, if you're a fan of the Transformers and Stan Bush, that would be a good show.
And I wanted to, and that kind of stood out to me as well when I saw this story pop up. And I know before Jason had passed away, he got to meet Stan Bush at RetroCon,
Yeah.
I want to say the year before. So I know he was a big fan of his music and that sort of thing. So I thought it was kind of fitting to talk about that for this first recurrent event.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that connection, but yeah, you're right, man. Him and Stan Bush did finally cross paths shortly before he died. So
yeah,
that's a great bit of retro nostalgic news there, man. That's something that to look forward to, but also has that retro flair that we love. So yeah, 40 years next year will be the 40th anniversary of that album, right?
Yeah, the album and the movie, yeah.
Yeah, I know you've got an idea in the tank about ranking those songs. I know you'll at some point get to that. That'll be a good episode.
I do, yeah. I'm going to rank the songs on the original soundtrack. There's 10 tracks, and I'm going to rank those songs, and I'll make that into a Nostalgia Oasis podcast and probably drop it around the anniversary in August of next year, I would say.
Yeah. My nostalgia was I was a little bit too young when the Transformers were at their heyday. You know, my first real franchise that I fell in love with was the Turtles, and that kind of was like near the end of the 80s into the early 90s. So I just missed that, having that connection to the Transformers. But yeah, folks that are a little older than me, like yourself, man, those Transformers were the big rage back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. Let me get to my little bit of news. This actually bit of news came from you. The first person I heard from was from you over there in the lounge. But if you are a subscriber of HBO Max, there is a new documentary called The Shuffle, and it's directed by Jeff Cameron, who is the director of HBO's Hard Knocks. For football fans, Hard Knocks has been around for a while now, sort of going into the locker rooms and into the practices and the inner workings of an NFL team's locker room. So debuted on Tuesday, November 25th, and it's available to stream now on HBO Max. The documentary is the first in a new series of short football films that made in partnership with the NFL. We all know that the Shuffle, when we hear the term the Shuffle, we all kind of think about those great 1985 Chicago Bears Super Bowl winning team and the iconic rap music video that became a cultural phenomenon en route to the team's storied Super Bowl 20 championship, featuring rare behind-the-scenes footage and new interviews with the star players who performed the song. The film explores the conception the execution and the impact of the Grammy-nominated track that energized the city of Chicago and football fans everywhere 40 years ago. Ken, I know you just took a few days ago and actually had a chance to watch it, so why don't you go ahead and tell us what you thought of it?
Okay, yeah, I watched it 2 nights ago, and it's only about a 40-minute show, so it's short. It's an easy watch. It's fun. If you were a kid or even an adult back in those days, of course you remember the '85 Chicago Bears that went 15-1. Of course, won Super Bowl 20. So a couple things that I found interesting though about that is their only loss of the season was to the Miami Dolphins on a Monday night, and then the next day is when they were set to record that video and shoot that video. So a lot of the players were kind of apprehensive about it, saying, well, we just got our butts kicked on Monday night, and now we got to go, shoot this video about going to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. And obviously they did, but, like Jim McMahon and Walter Payton had initially agreed to do it, and then they didn't show up to the video shoot. But then another thing that I didn't know was that then later on, they both recorded their separate parts for the video, not with the team as the team shot the video, but they did it individually, and then they just green screened Jim McMahon and Walter Payton into the video. So that's why you kind of see them. If you watch the video, they look a little bit different, like they're not there. But yeah, I thought it was really good. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, the magic of movie making, filmmaking, I didn't really know that story. I don't know if any of us did that, but it makes sense that, the day after their first loss, you got a feeling that the team leaders, who obviously Peyton was a great player and probably thought better to say, guys, this doesn't feel right. But imagine if history had played out a little differently. Imagine how much of a embarrassing moment it would have been had they not took it all the way and won the Super Bowl,
Oh man.
Would it have even been released to the public,
Yeah.
Like, definitely the gall and the stones on the Bears to be so confident that they said, you know what, we're going to film this video months in advance of us winning the Super Bowl. Definitely a risk, but certainly paid off for them, of course, and of course for our pop culture. Became iconic. Like I said, Grammy-winning, award-winning song there. So
I remember after that happened, after they won the Super Bowl, I want to say maybe a year or two after that, here in my hometown, there was a bar. I don't know if it was built or if they bought a building and took it over and renovated into a bar. So in the, Wisconsin, they opened up this bar in downtown area of my city, and they called it the Shuffle Bear Inn. So it was a bar for Bears fans in, Packer country. But
yeah,
and I can remember as a kid when we would watch football that, especially if the Packers were playing the Bears and the Packers happened to win the game or had a good play, me and my cousin, we would call up the bar and do a little phone prank to the bar and yell into the phone, yeah, the Bears suck and all this stuff, and then hang up and, laugh about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And how fitting, we're sitting here talking about the 40th anniversary and, looky, who's on top of the NFC at the moment are Chicago Bears with the NFC's best record.
Yeah, man, we're one game behind them right now. We play them this Sunday, so if we can win, we'll take control of the NFC North, and it should be a pretty good game, I think.
Yes, a lot at stake in December, of course, when it comes to football season. So
yeah.
Well, man, I thought those were very two good retro news items to kick off recurrent events with. A good thing, folks, in addition to hearing them here on the podcast, is that we've added a recurrent events section over on the retroresurgence.com. All you have to do, folks, is go to theretroresurgence.com and click on the recurrent events link in the banner. And you'll see not only the ones we mentioned, but you'll also see other articles that don't make it to the show And me and Ken are gonna try to keep that as updated as possible. You know, we'll hope to honor Jason's memory with the news that he loved to report on out there in the world. And we hope that, you know, maybe it'll be for somebody like us, nostalgic nerds, being a little one-stop shop for all kind of things retro and nostalgic. So check it out over there on the retroresurgence.com. Click on the recurrent events link in the banner. Don't go anywhere. Retro Resurgence will be right back after this commercial break.
Discover the legendary Q106.5 in your car, on your smart speaker, on your phone. Browse to Q1065.com. 80s, 90s. This is a radio station with a vibe. Download our app or listen online. Search at Q1065 Radio on social media. The Q is your favorite radio station. Discover Q106.5 and hear the 80s and 90s hits on the radio station with personality. Q106.5.
All right, everybody, we're back here on the Retro Resurgence, episode 30. For our main topic of this show, Chad, this was your turn to pick the main topic. So what are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, Ken, we've been talking a lot of movies and TV shows in the last few months, so I wanted to kind of flip the script and go back to something that we both enjoy. You, of course, are the resident toy man here on the show, but
yeah.
This one scratches that toy itch, but also throws it to our love of fast food, and we're going to talk about our top 5 favorite fast food Happy Meal promotions. Now, I kind of left it open, not just Happy Meals, you know, from McDonald's.
Right.
You know, I'm talking of any fast food joint. So, of course, McDonald's is a very familiar one with a lot of folks because they just had so many great promotions. But I've actually got a couple that are non-McDonald's. What about you? Do you have some that are not McDonald's?
I do. I have 2 of my picks that are not McDonald's.
Awesome. Well, you know, it's going to be a pretty cut and dry episode where we're just going to go rank them from 5 to 1. We could probably do this show 2 or 3 more times because there were way more than 5 for us to sift through. But
right.
Let's just talk about our top 5 that come to mind. And Ken, I'll start us off with my number 5 pick. We're going to go all the way back to 1990. And my love for video games sort of starts around this era. And one of the biggest and best games, I think, from the Nintendo era was the release of Super Mario 3. And McDonald's had a great tie-in with Super Mario 3 in 1990. They had 4 Happy Meal toys from things featured in Super Mario. Do you remember this promotion?
You say 1990?
Yeah.
Man, you know, as things go, I'm sure that if I were to see a commercial of it on YouTube, it would jog my memory. But as I'm thinking just kind of right now, I don't think I remember it all that well.
Well, this one was iconic, and I don't remember having all of these, but I do remember having some of them. But these are the Super Mario Brothers 3 toys. There were 4 of them released in this promotion. The first one was a spring-launched Raccoon Mario. Super Mario 3 was the game that introduced Mario to have special powers when he wore certain suits. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, I definitely remember the suits. Yeah, for sure. The one I remember the most is the raccoon suit.
Yes, that was the one that Mario was featured on. He had his little raccoon sort of tail, and he was spring-loaded, so basically you just pushed him down against the table and he would pop up.
Yeah.
The other ones that were there were a pullback Luigi who is sitting on a cloud, a hopping Koopa paratrooper, and then a backflipping little Goomba. So those 3, that was the 4 that were featured in the promotion. I couldn't leave this one out. I mean, the toys weren't anything spectacular, but because of the popularity of Mario and, the Nintendo had been around for probably only about 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
at this point in 1990. But, Mario was in its prime, certainly in that early 90s, and he would go on, of course, to be still to this day, be an iconic when it comes to Nintendo. So my number 5 pick is going to be the Super Mario Brothers 3 promotion from McDonald's in 1990.
Cool. Yeah. Like you said, like a lot of the toys that came out through the fast food places, a lot of them weren't much to them, just plastic, and some of them had little gimmicks and stuff. But I think the fun of it was just, going to the restaurant and getting it. And, it didn't matter if there was really a whole lot to them or not, but as long as, you thought they were cool and, you were excited to get that in your meal.
Yeah, and 6 or 7 year old me at the time, the fact that, I had Mario on this TV screen, playing him as a character, and then going to McDonald's, getting a Happy Meal and being able to collect them. Again, I don't, being so young, I don't remember ever pining for this, but
Yeah.
I do remember as I got older, having those there, and I was like, where do these come from? Kind of come to find out, Mom must have took us to McDonald's.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that sort of ties in my love of the Nintendo and stuff with of course my love for fast food and Happy Meal toys. So
Right.
that's my number 5. What about you?
All right. My number 5. Now, I was 8 years old when this Happy Meal came out, 1982. And on Friday nights, this was the only night during the week, well, probably Fridays and Saturdays, that my mom would let us stay up later into the night. And on Friday nights in 1982, the Dukes of Hazzard was on, I believe, at 8 o'clock on CBS. And of course, being an 8-year-old, that was one of my favorite shows. And in 1982, McDonald's came out with a Dukes of Hazzard Happy Meal, where you ordered your food and the food came inside a Dukes of Hazzard car-shaped plastic box. So these weren't necessarily toys, but your food came inside the container, and it had 4 different types of vehicles that you could pick from. So you had the General Lee, you had Sheriff Roscoe's patrol car, you had Uncle Jesse's pickup truck, Boss Hogg's Cadillac, and then you had Daisy's Dixie Jeep. And they all came with their set of stickers. And there really wasn't much to these things. Like I said, they were just cheap plastic models that were made out of the different vehicles. But you could, put the stickers on them. And it was just cool to get one of those and open up your food. And, your food was inside the little plastic box. So that's my number 5, was the Dukes of Hazzard plastic containers for your Happy Meal.
I'm looking at Google Images, 1982 Dukes of Hazzard McDonald's, and I cannot believe, in all the podcasts that I've listened to about fast food and promotions, I was expecting you to have some sort of figurines or toys, but I have never seen this. This is really cool, and like you said,
Yeah.
the production of these is probably pennies. But
sure.
if you were a fan of the Dukes, man, like, you gotta have all 5 of these cars, man.
Yeah, man, they were freaking awesome. I think I probably had maybe 3 of them. I don't think I ever got all 5, but yeah, they were pretty cool for back then.
And what about, it looks like each of the cars also had an associated cup with it.
Well, now that I didn't see. That's something I didn't see when I was looking stuff up. I didn't see a cup. So
Yeah, I'm looking at a photo. There's a cup behind each car.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that was like a separate purchase or maybe it came with the meal.
Yeah, possibly.
So long ago. But, man, dude, that definitely hitting some nostalgic vibes here.
Yeah. I've gone on eBay many a time and looked at those and never pulled the trigger on one yet, but I'm thinking about it after I looked up some of the commercials and some of the images. I'm like, man, that'd be cool to have as display pieces.
Yeah, so it looks like the cups, you have Daisy Duke, Uncle Jesse, Boss Hogg, Luke, and then Sheriff Roscoe. So
Okay.
It looks like if you're going to try to find these, you got to have the cups to go with the containers.
Yeah.
Man, that's really cool. And I guess, back in the day, McDonald's was known for that styrofoam. These don't
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
styrofoam. They look like kind of like cheaper plastic.
Right.
But yeah, dude, imagine opening up the top of the General Lee and seeing your fries and your
Yeah,
hamburger.
man. McDonald's did also have a couple other promotions where they did that as well, where they had a container that looked like a train, and then there were also ones that they look like flying saucers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so pretty cool. Not necessarily a toy, but still pretty cool in its own right, I think.
All right, Ken. Well, that was a good start there for you with your number 5 pick of the 1982 Dukes of Hazzard McDonald's promotion. We're going to switch gears now. We're going to go over across the street to Burger King.
Okay.
But I'm going to stay in 1990. Surprisingly, a lot of my picks are from 1990. Maybe it was just a good year when it came to the things that I connected with.
Yeah.
This one is not a show that, I historically followed, but when you hear my pick, you'll know why I picked it, because if you think about a cartoon and a promotion, do you recall a cartoon that got its start around that time? It was iconic and still is today.
Oh, 1990. Well, the only thing that I can really think of is The Simpsons.
You are correct.
All right.
So I'm going with my number 4 pick from 1990 from Burger King. It's the Simpsons plush dolls. They were $3.49 plus tax with the purchase of mini muffins or any size fry. Now these, I would not consider these your traditional Happy Meal toys, because these figurines, well, plush dolls, I should say, the heads were hard plastic, but the bodies were very plush.
Okay.
These were pretty big, like big enough to where you couldn't fit these in like the normal Happy Meal bag,
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what size they were, but I remember, having the whole set. And again, I was only 6 or 7 at the time, so I don't feel like I was clamoring to get Mom to get us to go to here. So I got a feeling Mom was just either she liked taking us and liked collecting, because we had all 5 of these. So these plush dolls you had Homer, and each doll had a little paper accessory. So Homer has a bowling bag, Marge has her purse, Bart, of course, which was every young kid's favorite, he had a skateboard, Lisa had her saxophone, and Maggie had her teddy bear. But you could get all 5 of these, and if you did the math, for under $20, you'd have the whole set.
Yeah.
And again, these were pretty large, so these would have not just been a little cheap toy. Now, around the same time, another Happy Meal toy premiered. It was known as the Simpsons camping figures. Those were normal-sized Happy Meals. Now, the Simpsons debuted in December of 1989.
Yeah.
And then the first season of The Simpsons finished in 1990. So Burger King was pretty smart to jump on the Simpsons bandwagon. And these were, of course, the first time The Simpsons would be premiered in any sort of toy. And I was just, like I said, I wasn't the biggest Simpsons fan, but I just remember these toys being substantially larger. And I think for the time, you didn't see that large of a figure being included in a normal Happy Meal toy. So again, you did have to pay a little extra for it, but it was cool that they offered these as promotions. So that's my number 4 pick. The Simpsons Burger King figurines I shouldn't say figurines, again, the plush dolls from 1990.
Yeah, I'm looking at these. They're pretty, like you said, they're a decent size. And yeah, that'd be pretty cool to get for back in the day, as, the Simpsons were first coming around.
Yeah, and I'm looking at eBay. These are 8 inches long. That's the size. So
wow.
Pretty large for a Happy Meal toy. But again, no one knew that in 1990 that we'd still here in 2025, The Simpsons is one of the longest animated, the longest running shows in the history of television. But Burger King jumped on quick when it came to jumping on to this promotion. So picked it as my number 4. And, even to this day, you still, the toys you get now are definitely not as large as what these were. So pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, that's a cool pick, man. Simpsons and early 90s, you can't go wrong there. So they were pretty smart for that one.
What you got for number 4?
All right, for number 4, I'm going to stay at McDonald's for right now, and we're going to go to 1991. And Chad, I couldn't let a toy episode go by without bringing a toy that was kind of like a transformer. So 1991 McDonald's, these are called the McDino Changeables. So
I got to tell you, man. So that's going to roll right into my number 3 pick, because I had the McChangeables talking about that for my next pick. So we should just talk about them together.
Okay, now do you have the Changeables or do you have the Dino?
So you have the Dino theme, which was 91.
Yeah.
I was going with the McChangeables, but I kind of glumped them together because I feel like the Dino theme kind of came from the early McChangeables of 1987.
Right.
So yeah, we could talk about them because, dude, these, when it comes to collectors and toy, people, toy nerds and stuff, these McChangeables, and then of course that Dino themed one, they're very nostalgic for a lot of toy collectors.
Yeah. So just a little quick overview. In June 1991, McDonald's offered a set of 8 transforming toys called the McDino Changeables, and the set had also 2 under 3 toys that didn't transform. So the toys were cleverly constructed puzzles, models of popular McDonald's food items that opened into dinosaur-like creatures, and the toys were packed with instructions to help transform the toy. The 8 figures were called the McDino Cone, the Tri-Shake-A-Tops, Big Macosaurus Rex, Hotcakes O'Dactyl, Quarter Pounder with Cheeseosaur, McNuggets Osaurus, Happy Meal Odon, and Fry Ceratops. So some pretty cool names there. And so I was at a vintage toy store that I have in town here, and he had a big box of unopened like Burger King Kids Club toys and Happy Meal toys. So Chad, I can't come to a toy episode without a little show and tell.
Uh-oh.
And I found here is the Hot Cakes.
Oh man,
the Hot Cakes O'Dactyl. So there we go. Pretty cool.
So a pancake transformed with a pterodactyl.
Yep, it's actually the hot cake for back in the day. Remember the hot cakes styrofoam platter?
Yep.
So that's what it is, and it transforms into a pterodactyl. So
that's awesome, man.
There we go.
So I had what'd you say the name of the Big Mac was?
Big Macosaurus Rex.
Yeah, so I remember having that one, and I believe I had the cone, the ice cream cone that popped out.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, the McDonald's was genius to pair the popularity of the Transformers, because at this time, you said 1991, Transformers was kind of a thing of the past. You kind of missed the mark. But
yeah,
of course, in my next pick that I'll talk about, I'm going to talk about the original 1987 McChangeables that were not really monster or Transformer themed, but of course got their inspiration from Transformers. But yeah, sure. The dinosaur theme of 1991 was a really cool tie-in, and definitely the names were very smart of them to come up with some clever names, right?
Yep. Yeah, man. So why don't we just roll into is that your number 3 then?
Yeah, that's my number 3. And like you said, people are real nostalgic about this promotion. I counted 22 overall toys. If you include the dinosaur ones, and then you include 1987, the first series, which the first series included a Chicken McNuggets robot, a Big Mac robot, a milkshake robot, Egg McMuffin robot, a large fry robot, and then a quarter pounder robot. Now, they did not have names in this 1987 first series. And then in 1989, they introduced 8 more in another promotion. 22 overall toys. So if you are at a toy show and you see one of these McDonald's food items that transforms, it's going to be one of 3 series that McDonald's introduced. But dude, I'm just the tie-in, the influence of the Transformers, and then of course what McDonald's did to sort of promote their food items, I thought was just a genius move by them.
Right. Yeah, man. Back in 87, in the 89, 90, I was a little bit older, so I wasn't getting Happy Meal stuff anymore, but I would see them in the restaurants and the commercials and like, man, like I wish I could get these, but, being a little bit older, I didn't ask for the Happy Meals at the time anymore, so I never got any of them, but like I said, when I go to these toy stores or the toy shows, I kind of look around for those and see if anybody's got them because I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if you really wanted to display them properly, you need 2. You need one
Yeah,
to show as the food item, and then you need one that whatever it transformed into. So
right.
yeah, I thought it's one of the iconic promotions of any fast food is the McChangeables or the dinosaur themed McChangeable. So glad we picked those, and it kind of fell right into the same spot there.
Yeah, we always usually got one pick where we're always kind of on the same wavelength, Chad.
Yeah, man, you know us.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you go into your number 3 pick then?
All right. So my number 3 pick is going to come from Burger King. And I featured this on one of our early episodes. It might have been episode 3 or 4, where I did a toy line retrospective on these from 1997 from Burger King. Like I said, the Universal Monsters.
Yeah,
So, we talked about this earlier, in one of our early shows, but 1997, Universal had re-released a lot of their old monster movies on VHS.
mm-hmm.
So they were licensing old Universal monsters, like they had U.S. postage stamps. And then in 1997, for the Burger King Kids Club, they introduced the Universal Monsters action figures. So these were similar to the 3 3/4 inch Remco Universal Monsters, but they were different enough where you wouldn't confuse the 2 different releases. So you had 4 figures that came in the line. You had Down for the Count Dracula, Bolts and Volts Frankenstein, the Wolfman Cellar Dweller, and the Scaly Squirter featuring the creature from the Black Lagoon. So all of these came with a little accessory, except for the creature from the Black Lagoon. He didn't have an accessory, but you could fill him with water, and then you would press the middle where his stomach was, and he would shoot water out of his mouth.
His body was pretty much the accessory, huh?
Yeah. The Frankenstein came with a lab table, Dracula came with a coffin, and the Wolfman came with a cellar door box. Now, Chad, you sent me 3 of these figures when we did our 1-year anniversary show.
Yeah.
So you got me the Wolfman, and then you got me the Dracula, and you got me the creature from the Black Lagoon. So the only one I'm missing right now is the Frankenstein. So there's a little show and tell again that I got. So yeah, man, I thought that's always kind of talked about as a cool little toy line from Burger King. So yeah, that's my number 3.
Yeah, and if I ever go to any sort of vintage shows, man, I'm looking out for that Frankenstein with the light up laboratory table, man.
Yeah.
Because that'll complete your set.
Yep. And just as a little extra, each package of these figures comes with a glow in the dark sticker. So that's cool too.
Yeah, anytime you throw in glow in the dark, you're gonna have a win there.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, they kind of had a resurgence. These creatures that were sort of staples in Hollywood back in, what would you say, the 40s, the 50s?
I would even say I think the original Dracula movie came out in like 1931.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're talking 30s, 40s. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I mean, it was definitely, there was this sort of push to sort of re-energize the monsters and sort of introduce them to a whole new audience. And of course, Burger King was smart to jump on it with those 4 cool figurines. And yeah, man, these guys are timeless. You can release them in any decade, and people are gonna have an appreciation for them.
Yeah, the Universal monsters are always, you got that nostalgia, and I always liked the old monster movies. I try to watch them during Halloween, and yeah, pretty cool toy line, man.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were going to throw that in there or not. I know you're very nostalgic with the monsters, and I
Yeah,
remember getting you those three of those four there. So
yep.
good pick there.
All right.
All right, man. Well, we're moving right along, and we're down to our number 2 and number 1 picks.
Yep.
So on my number 2 pick, we're going to go to a new restaurant, and we're going to go to Hardees. Did you have a Hardees up where you were?
Yeah, we do. We do have
Okay.
Hardees. Yep.
I know in the West Coast they call Hardees Carl Jr.'s.
Yeah.
Now, in my area, Hardee's has fallen on some hard times, pardon the pun.
Right.
One of the nearby Hardee's near us, just last week I saw on Facebook that it's officially shut down. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, I don't know what it is, man. Hardee's is just having a hard time hanging in there around this area. But back in the late 80s, early 90s, man, Hardee's was definitely a pretty thriving restaurant. And one of the movies that came out, again, I'm stuck in 1990. I just can't get out of this year. But
Man.
one of the
Okay.
one of the iconic, or one of the, I would say, movies about an industry that there really hadn't been a whole lot of films about was the world of auto racing. And if you know Hardee's and know auto racing, then you know what I'm about to say. But the Days of Thunder promotion that Hardee's did in 1990 was something that I, to this day, still have fond memories of. So Days of Thunder, of course, starring Tom Cruise. One of the movies that really kind of introduced the world of auto racing and NASCAR and what it meant to be in that sport. And maybe not at the time, but as sort of time has grown on, I mean, I think that movie has become a little bit more iconic in sort of originating. Not saying there were other movies about auto racing, but this one really was a movie about racing with a love story sort of mixed in there as well.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a dramatic movie. But Hardee's jumped on board. I in the 1990s was big fan here in the South with NASCAR and auto racing, and I loved the cars and the paint schemes, and the Days of Thunder cars had such cool paint schemes. So in 1990, 99 cent would get you 4 collectible cars. Those cars were the Superflow number 46 pink and white car, which was a really iconic paint scheme. You had the number 51 Mellow Yellow car, which was in the movie. Mellow Yellow, in a couple years after this, would actually be a real car raced by Kyle Petty just a year or two after this movie came out. You had the number 18 Hardee's car, of course. Hardee's had to get on board with having a paint scheme. I believe that was Russ Wheeler, was the name of the character in the movie. And then you had the City Chevrolet, which Tom Cruise, who plays NASCAR driver Cole Trickle, one of his cars was the City Chevrolet, which was just a car dealership. But these 4 cars would found in these Happy Meals with 99 cent would get you one of these cars. And then also paired with the cars, you had collectible cups, a 32-ounce collectible cup for $1.05. So yeah, the 99 cent, they were called the Thunder Racers, and they were just Hot Wheel size, Matchbox size cars with the paint schemes. And then the cups, $1.05 with any purchase. I still have the Superflow car. These cars they were very, they weren't heavy. They were very light. They weren't heavy in metal like a traditional Hot Wheel. They were pretty lightweight. But dude, having any sort of little die-cast car, I lived on these things in the early 90s. I'd watch races with my dad, and I'd pull out my cars and pretend that they were racing while watching racing on TV.
Right.
So, dude, I need to see if I can collect. Only one I ever remember having was the Superflow 46 pink and white car. So, yeah, if I see these around loose in a toy show or something, I'm definitely going to snatch them up. But I love Days of Thunder. It's one of my favorite sports movies. I think it's one that doesn't really get the credit it deserves. But I love this promotion that Hardee's did.
Yeah, I do know Days of Thunder. I've seen the movie maybe once or twice. Um, to be honest, I don't really remember Hardee's doing these cars, but I'm looking at them right now, and yeah, they look pretty cool. The colors pop out. I like the mellow yellow and the Hardee's car. To me, those are the two that stand out.
Yeah. And yeah, those I definitely did not have those. Like I said, all I had was Superflow. Somewhere in my bin, I've got it. But yeah, I thought it was a good tie-in. I don't know if any other restaurant would have thought to tie into this movie, but a Hardee's, which is kind of seems to be a very, I know you said you have Hardee's, but it's a
Yeah.
very southern and eastern based kind of fast food chain. So I'm not surprised they kind of jumped in on the whole NASCAR world.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, thought it was a good promotion and still one of my favorites.
Cool. Yeah, good pick.
All right, you're number 2.
All right. My number 2. Now, Chad, when you said Hardee's, I thought we were going to pick the same thing because my number 2 pick is also coming from Hardee's.
All
But
right.
this is from 1987, and this is the California Raisins.
Oh, now I actually was going to mention this as one of my honorable mentions.
Ah, okay.
This one is a cool promotion, so go ahead, man.
Yeah, so back in the late 80s, the California Raisins were a fictional rhythm and blues animated musical group, as well as advertising and merchandising characters composed of anthropomorphized raisins. The lead vocals were sung by musician Buddy Miles, and they were popular from about 86 through 94 through various claymation TV commercials and even some animated specials, and winning an Emmy Award and 1 nomination.
Isn't the California Raisins one of the brainchildren of Will Vinton, the claymation guru?
I don't have that in my notes, but that sounds pretty familiar, that name. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
Will Vinton, who was the kind of the master of the claymation storytelling, I think he was behind the California Raisins, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Of course, we know the commercials with the song "I Heard It Through the Grapevine." They're dancing and all that kind of stuff. But probably the most memorable piece of California Raisins merchandise came in non-posable California Raisin figures through Hardee's that offered these as part of their promotion for their cinnamon and raisin biscuits.
I thought that they were just jumping on the whole raisin theme that kind of like,
Right.
You see the commercials and stuff, but I didn't know they were promoting the cinnamon raisin biscuits, but that's genius.
Yeah, and actually back in the day, I don't know if they still make them, but they were pretty good, man. The cinnamon raisin biscuits.
Yeah.
They had different collections were produced in 87, 1988, 91, and then finally in 2001. But I think the first collection from 1987 had 4 different figures. They only cost 99 cents each, kind of like your cars there.
Yep.
They had names. Tiny Goodbite was the singer. Now this name right here is the Blue Shoe Dancer, and his name is Justin, middle initial X, last name Grape. So Justin X Grape.
Okay.
Then you had another character called Ben into Sun. And then the other one doesn't have a name. It's just called the saxophone player. So I think those were maybe the 4 initial
Yeah.
characters that they had come out with in 1987. But
Yeah.
I thought this was a pretty cool promotion. And the California Raisins were, super popular back in the late 80s and early 90s. So I thought that would go good on this list.
Now listen, if you are in charge of trying to promote the healthy lifestyle of eating raisins, you got to do a lot, because a raisin by itself is not very appealing. It's not fun to look at, but whoever thought to make these guys like a quartet, doo-wop kind of group was
Right.
a genius. And man, give it up to Hardee's again. They jumped on board. It seemed like a very odd thing to do, but talk about the whole promotion of California raisins as being a healthy snack,
Yeah.
I don't think raisins have ever since then or ever will be promoted as hard as they were back in the late 80s.
Right. And I have one here. I don't know if
Oh,
this was one of the original ones, but it's one of them. So he's like holding a radio up to his ear.
I
So yeah,
got you.
there we go.
So this wasn't just a one-off promotion. They kind of like the what we talked about earlier with the McChangeables. They it seemed like
Yeah.
they'd go to the well every
Yep.
couple years.
Yeah.
Okay, well then yeah, yours. I don't think yours is that one you just showed is one of the original 1987 ones, but
No, this one's I got trying to see the name on or the year on the bottom of the foot, but I can't make it out.
yeah, yeah. I considered having this on my list, and one of my earliest memories as a kid, and this, like I said, 87, I would have been 3, so no way I'm sitting here telling mom to go to Hardees. But
Yeah.
I do remember before 1990, where most of my memories start. I remember before this having a raisin, like, so mom or dad must have just went to grab the hamburger,
Yeah.
and got a raisin, because I remember having it. Now, somewhere, either me or my sister probably have this in our little toy bin somewhere. But
Right.
yeah, man, that was a fun one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, California raisins are cool.
I believe they also had a cassette tape at one time.
I believe so. Yeah. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Yeah.
Well, that was a good pick, man.
All right.
So now we are here at our number 1 picks. I'll tell you, be honest, when I came to mine, there was no doubt which one I was going to pick. This is my all-time favorite promotion. And I recently found out, like, my sister often listens to the show. So if she's listening to this, she'll probably know what I'm about to say, because me and her memories, especially growing up, with mom taking us to McDonald's. My all-time favorite promotion is Hot Wheels, McDonald's Hot Wheels, but I have to give a shout out because in 1991, Hot Wheels and Barbie teamed up and had like a joint promotion which lasted pretty much all through the 90s. And
okay.
Me and my sister, simultaneously, mom would take us to McDonald's, and she was very much on board with us trying to collect the whole set each year. So for me, I have 1991 is the first year. It wasn't the first year, so a little history. 1991 was the first year that Hot Wheels made toys specifically for McDonald's.
Okay.
Before that, they had a promotion all the way back in 1983, but what Hot Wheels was doing was actually just putting real models that they would sell in the toy store. They were just packaging them into McDonald's toys.
Okay.
And then 8 years later, Hot Wheels said, you know what, we're going to make our own molds, our own designs. You're not going to find these on toy shelves. These are only going to be found in the McDonald's promotions. So 1991, Hot Wheels came out with I think it was 8 cars to collect. The first year it was called the California Customs Collection, and actually, much like my partner here, Ken, I've got a little show and tell.
All right.
So, if you look here, Ken,
Oh yeah.
it's like a Camaro.
Yeah.
But it's a purple Camaro, and it's got, you see the little design on it? It's kind of very 90s. They call it the California Custom design.
Cool.
But, this was the first McDonald's promotion from that 1991.
Nice.
And then over the years, they would, all the way up until almost 1998, 1999. Now, that's kind of when I'm in my high school years, so I'm not really following Hot Wheels as much as I was back in the early 90s. But, man, my sister can attest to this. Me and her and mom, every year we look forward to the Barbie Hot Wheel promotion. And I thought it was genius because, Hot Wheels, of course, traditionally geared toward little boys. What do the girls have? Well, the girls have Barbie. So,
Right.
there were 8 Hot Wheels to collect. There was also 8 Barbies to collect. So every week, it seems like mom would take us to McDonald's to trying to get the whole set,
Yeah.
Shout out mom, because she was very helpful in us trying to collect the whole set,
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a cheap way to get us fed, but also give us
Yeah.
a chance to have a toy. But I from all the way from 91 up until about 96, 97, I have many different cars in the set. My sister also had a lot of the Barbies from those sets. A couple years, they actually would change up the theme. So I think it was about 93, 94. They had, here's the McDonald's NASCAR. McDonald's kind of became a sponsor in NASCAR right around 94, 93, 94. This, of course, was a racer named Jimmy Spencer. I think if Mickey's listening, he would know who Jimmy Spencer is.
Right.
Mr. Excitement. But this is the year that McDonald's had like a drag racing McDonald's. They had a funny car. They had various like auto racing style cars, but this one, of course, was the stock car that they had.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple years where they had sort of like throwback cars. So here's one that I have. It's kind of like a 1950s or a 1960s style car. This says 1993, but that's a McDonald's car.
Okay.
And then one year, this is one of the newer ones. They kind of had more of like a service car. So this one is like a sort of a modern day ambulance.
Right.
You know, a little more modern versus traditional. But anyway, the whole promotion of Hot Wheels and McDonald's was like one of my biggest childhood memories and clearest childhood memories of going with my sister. I used to love going into McDonald's and looking at the display, because the display would show you each week, like, okay, week number 1, you're getting this car, you're getting this Barbie. Week number 2, week number 3, and it would sometimes be a 8-week promotion.
Wow.
So anyway, that usually meant at least a minimum of 8 trips to McDonald's.
Yeah.
that month. But I thought it was genius. Again, I kind of fell out of favor the older I got. I really wasn't doing much, but looking back on a lot of my Hot Wheels memories, that McDonald's was a key player in those memories, because that's where we would get those toys. And you know, Hot Wheels is a perfect little toy. You know, if you don't have a lot of money, even to this day, you know, you take your kid to the toy aisle and let them pick out one of 100 different versions of Hot Wheels that are still exist.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I thought it was a nice promotion. And do you have any memories of the promotion? You would have been more of a high school when you with this promotion would have been around.
Yeah, no, not really, man. That's why as you're talking, I'm trying to think back and remember, but I really don't remember these ones at all. So it's kind of cool that you picked it and brought it up to give us those images and, how they looked. And yeah, I can't really speak a whole lot to those. Like you said, I was a little older. So yeah, but that's, Hot Wheels is, been around for such a long time. And then to pair it with McDonald's is, a great idea.
I also got to mention in 1992, they kind of changed it up a little bit. They had these things, and 1991, of course, was the initial promotion, the cross promotion of Hot Wheels and Barbie. But the next year, Hot Wheels came out with this thing, and they called it Mini Streaks. And what this was you got a car with no wheels. It was basically flat on the bottom, but it came with this little plastic thing that you mash down, and it would basically shoot air out to the car, so the car would like glide on like a kitchen floor or wood floor. So they weren't traditional Hot Wheels with tires that you can roll, but it totally skipped my memory until I was looking for this episode, researching this episode, that I had a few of those. And like I said, you put the car against the little launcher, you press down, and it would shoot air, and that air would glide the car like all the way across the kitchen. So now the next year they went back to the more traditional Hot Wheel style cars, but I thought that was a cool little, change of direction there that Hot Wheels did.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Cool, man.
All right, man. So now that I've ranted and raved about Hot Wheels, what is Ken's number 1 all-time favorite fast food promotion?
All right. So my number 1, we're going to stay in McDonald's. 1986 is when this first debuted. And you can't talk about Halloween and McDonald's without talking about the McDonald's Boo Buckets. So they, like I said, they started in 1986. They lasted through the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. They were discontinued in 2016, but then they came back in 2022, 23. Nothing in 2024, and then of course this year there was another new batch that had come out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, these pails instantly became trick or treat bags or storage bins for kids. The glow in the dark versions were especially sought after, and many kids carried them around all month long of October. Now, as far as, the size, if you were doing some heavy duty trick or treating, you weren't going to fit
No
much
way.
candy in it.
No way.
But if you were a little kid only going around maybe a block or two, they were perfect.
Yep.
So like I said, they started off in 86. There's been many different variations of them throughout the years. In 1990, they had the glow in the dark Boo Buckets. 1992, the Boo Buckets came with lids that were cookie cutters. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And then sometimes the Boo Buckets didn't have the monster faces. They had different licenses that were on the buckets, like Ronald and Friends was in 1993 and 99. And then you had one year had Mr. Potato Head, another Scooby-Doo. 2013 had the Angry Birds Star Wars on it. And then in 2016, it had It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown on the buckets to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. And then I couldn't really find out a reason why they went away for 6 years. But then they came back, like I said, in 2022. They came back, and then in 2023, you had 4 different Boo Buckets that had a monster, mummy, a skeleton, and a vampire. So, yeah, man, the Boo Buckets are, a lot of people, when you think of Halloween and McDonald's, the probably first thing you think of will be the Boo Bucket. So, yeah, I picked that as my number one.
Yeah, smart pick, man. That first iteration of 1986, they were all orange, but of course you had 3 different faces.
Yep.
And the following year, they said, McDonald's said, all right, let's change up the colors. So you had the green, whether that's the goblin or the witch, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Then you had the ghost. And then from there, they've kind of been very similar each year with, like you said, some variations. Like you had the theme for the peanuts one year.
Yep.
And then I know this year I was really interested. I didn't get it, but I was interested in the red zombie version.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to get too.
You didn't get it? Yeah.
No, well, one night, it was like mid-October, we DoorDashed McDonald's, and if you spent over $20, you got a free Happy Meal. So I was like, okay, I'll get a Happy Meal. The driver shows up, no
Nothing.
Happy Meal.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
Come on, man.
Yeah. That's the problem sometimes in today's food world. I mean, the workers don't, they're just,
Yeah.
back in the day, man, this was like, but even today, kids of like our age, like we want what we're supposed to get. And,
Yeah.
I didn't go so last year, I think we got all 3. And then this year they introduced that red zombie and the black cat, which were
Yeah.
brand new colors to the Boo
Right.
Buckets, but didn't pan out. So maybe the zombie will return again, or the black cat will return again. But
Right.
yeah, like the genius again, give McDonald's all the credit to something that's fun but also practical.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you're not looking to score a lot on Halloween, then these would be the buckets to take. But
Yeah.
most kids are gonna fill that bucket up in like for the first few houses.
Right. For
But,
sure.
Yeah, man, this is a great promotion, and I, definitely want. Oh, and there's a show and tell.
So a couple of years ago, I was at Goodwill just walking around, and I found this, and the date on the bottom says 1991. So I believe this is probably the witch one from that year. So yeah, man, pretty cool.
I've got mine over there. I didn't bring mine over, but
Okay.
I see the purple witch over
Right.
on my shelf over there. But that was from like the last year or 2.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, that was a good pick. You can't go wrong with the pails.
Right.
One of the things I think that makes McDonald's kind of stand alone in their promotions is you got the pails, the changeables, you got the chicken nugget buddies that
Oh, yeah.
we didn't mention those, but those
Right.
was a great promotion.
Yeah.
And even like some of the things that maybe kids wouldn't appreciate, but like, what about the McDonald's Monopoly promotion?
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a future episode on other promotions that maybe
Yeah.
aren't really related to kids, but to maybe more of an adult kind of.
Oh, yeah. You could
know what I mean?
definitely come up with those.
I know me and you, we've talked before about those McDonald's Olympic USA basketball cups.
Yeah.
And I've almost got a complete set of the original 92 Dream Team.
Yeah.
I think I need maybe one or two more. Those are great promotions.
Like I was going to mention an honorable mention, like the Burger King back in like 1980, the Empire Strikes Back glasses, like,
Yep.
like that kind of thing too, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will also mention as an honorable mention, back in the 90s, I was a huge basketball fan. I loved everything NBA, and Pizza Hut had a promotion where for a few bucks, if you bought a pizza, you would get a 1990s NCAA tournament branded basketball.
Right.
It was a full-size basketball.
Yeah. I remember those.
I had that thing. I took it and played with it. I believe it wasn't a very long run, but it was like from like 93, 94, in that range, where every year, those couple years, you had the NCAA tournament logo on a basketball that was, Pizza Hut, of course, was a big sponsor of the tournament. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, we could revisit this episode maybe in the next year if we
Sure.
could squeeze it in. But
Yeah.
I thought we threw out 10 different kind of promotions there that I think a lot of our listeners will appreciate and definitely relate to.
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah, we got some good picks there. If it jogs anybody's memory, definitely shoot us a message on Instagram or, put something in the comments on our website. All right, Chad. Well, that's going to round out episode 30 of the Retro Resurgence podcast. I thought it was a fun topic tonight. How about you?
Absolutely, man. It was one of my shows that I picked many months ago, put it in the tank, and I thought it went very well. I mean, some of these things, man, you do a little research on these things, like in terms of the year and the time. But after that, man, the memories just start flowing, and
Yeah.
you got me there reminiscing about the California raisins, which again, that was one of my honorable mentions, but I didn't think I'd have so many other memories flow back to me. But that's the
Yeah.
great thing about talking here in a podcast like this, man, and
Yep.
just let the thoughts flow. And thought it was a good episode, and I definitely would like to revisit this for maybe 5 more fast food promotions that we could talk about.
Yeah, man, we could definitely do it again. It would be fun, and it's always a good topic when you're talking food and promotions. And yeah, man, we definitely revisit it somewhere down the line.
Well, Ken, why don't you tell the listeners what we got planned? Holiday season is here, so what do we have here at the Retro Resurgence coming your way?
Yeah, our next episode, I think we have it planned to drop Christmas Eve, will be I guess you can call it annual now, our annual Christmas grab bag episode, kind of like where we did with the Halloween episode. You came up with a couple different ideas for segments of the show. And yeah, man, we're going to get into the Christmas episode, and it's a good one. It's building up to be.
Yes, Christmas is a fun time of year to talk all kinds of different topics. We've got topics about Christmas songs, Christmas movies, Christmas toys, TV specials that are Christmas themed.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward in a couple weeks recording it. And then, of course, like you said, the week of Christmas, I believe Christmas Eve, it'll drop, and we'll look forward to getting people's feedback on that. But that'll be, like you said, our annual Christmas grab bag episode. So
yeah. And don't forget Christmas Jeopardy, Chad. You got to get out. You got to get in the W column.
listen, if I can't manage a win, so I'm gonna really have to tag in a friend to help me. Maybe we'll have to change it to like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where I'll phone a friend to try to beat you. Well, Ken, man, this was fun. Episode 30 in the
Yeah.
books. And listeners, let us know your thoughts and connect with us over there on Instagram is where we're most active. Be sure to check out Ken's Wide World of Toys. Episode 1 of his new rebranded podcast is already dropped. Ken, I believe you were discussing the Batman Kenner line.
The 1990 Kenner, the Dark Knight collection,
Yes.
which came out a year after the Batman 89 movie. Yeah, it's a short episode, but it was fun to record, and I can't wait to get the next one recorded, and hopefully I'm going to have a Christmas-themed episode dropping sometime here in December.
Very good, very good. Well, listeners, until then, this has been the Retro Resurgence podcast. And like we always say, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yep, we'll see you in 2 weeks, Chad.
Thanks for listening to the Retro Resurgence podcast. You can find us on most major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also find and engage with us on social media at the following: on Instagram at The Retro Resurgence, on X at Retro Resurgence. You can also reach out to us on our email, which is theretroresurgence@gmail.com. And you can also find us at our website, www.theretroresurgence.com. And lastly, you can also find us online at our flagship, The Retro Network, at www.theretronetwork.com, where you'll find lots of great retro and nostalgic content. Leave us a rate and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Join us again in 2 weeks here on the Retro Resurgence podcast.
And that wraps up another episode of the Retro Resurgence podcast. We're so grateful you joined us today and took a trip down memory lane with us. And we can't wait to bring you more retro goodness in our next episode. Until then, keep embracing the past, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening.
This has been a presentation of the Retro Network.